Welcome back to Inside High. I'm Hammer, and I would like to welcome back Heather Foster from Foster Financial, and we are so excited to have you back with us today, and we're going to talk about legislation risk.
Yes, because it's not something that people think of often when you're talking about investments, how much legislation and the changes that happen can affect your money. So legislation risk is one of those risks that we really can't control. I mean, we know about the stock market. We all know there's risk there as far as markets going up, markets going down. We've been in a downturn, trying to get recovery right now. But legislation really plays a part because legislation changes can affect the way that you can save money in your retirement accounts. It can change the way you're taxed with your money on retirement accounts. It can even change when you have to begin to take those funds out. So we had some major overhaul back in 2020 on the Secure Act, which changed a lot of things. Everything from how you could inherit IRA money. You no longer can stretch it over your lifetime if you're more than 10 years younger than the person who passed away. Where you used to be able to stretch those payments over your lifetime, now you got to cash the whole thing out in 10 years. And if you cash out a lot of money that's all taxable in 10 years, that can have a cause and effect with so many different things. Well, now they're also saying, hey, we want to change the required minimum distribution age, and we want to phase it in over time. When they make these changes, they make everything very complicated. I know they're talking about hiring a lot of IRS agents. They certainly will have to with all the changes that they're looking to make, but these changes really do affect everybody, and you need to understand them. So sometimes when people go, hey, do I really need a financial person in my back pocket here? I mean, can't I just throw my money in some mutual funds and be okay?
The answer is no. I have the feeling. We've had that discussion in our home.
I mean, you can, but you're missing out obviously on a lot because there's so many rules and regulations, and some of these rules right now carry extremely stiff penalties, like the required minimum distribution. If you miss that, it can be up to a 50% penalty on what you missed. So if you didn't take the $10,000 distribution, you may get an extra penalty of $5,000. That's also something they're thinking about changing, mind you. There's a lot that's in this new Secure Act. It's called the Secure Act 2.0. It's already passed the House. It's been in Senate for quite a while, trying to reposition a few things, but we're thinking it's going to get passed. There's a lot that affects retirement programs, retirement plans, how you can save, the way you can withdraw money, the penalties for withdrawing money in this act. So legislation risk, we've always said, it is a real risk. Could be a positive to you, could be a negative to you. It's normally a negative for the savers. It's usually a positive for people who don't save. That's kind of what we see coming through most of the legislation that we see come through, is that it's penalizing those who have saved money, which we all hate that. So my job is to know the legislation, read the legislation, and make sure we can find any loopholes that are there that are legal. Obviously, we would keep it completely on the up and up. But if there are ways to lower taxes or lay out plans to get things done ahead of time before legislation changes happen, that's what you need to know. That's where having a professional in your corner is really critical, unless you want to sit down and read those 1,000-page legislation books on what all's changing, how it's going to affect you, and what you need to do to stop it before it affects your retirement plan. That's what people pay us to do.
I just can't believe it. And you're trying to mitigate those things that are directly connected to investments and stuff like that. But there's so much that legislation can be given that affected so much greater outside of these normal things also, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, think about nursing home planning for an example. Right now, I mean, you can kind of protect someone's assets if you work with an attorney and you set things up correctly. There's a 5-year look back, but you can protect most of your assets from a nursing home, but that's always subject to change. They can change the 5-year look back rule. They've been talking about changing it for a long time. If they change that rule, then what are we going to do at that point? How do we protect someone's assets if they haven't taken out long-term care insurance? Every decision they make, and understanding that they can always change the rules, because they always do change the rules, knowing those rules and what we currently can do today and how it may affect you in the future is really critical.
I can imagine. I mean, because if you are playing with a big slice of cake, or that slice of cake which isn't that big but happens to be your future, yeah, you got to pay attention to what's going on.
You don't want to share it necessarily.
No, you want to
not with the government anyways.
Yeah. Keep it for you. Yeah, the government can have what's kind of left on the plate and on the side.
Well, they've already taken most people's pie, if you will. They've eaten most of the cake. Your slice is what you have to live off of the rest of your life. You got to protect it. You need to savor it, enjoy it, and make sure that it's there. Maybe leave some for your family.
So what are the biggest things, once again, that are affected?
So retirement plans right now, I mean, like some of the legislation that they're talking about doing is, one of the things they were pushing out was trying to do away with Roth conversions and backdoor Roth. So Roth conversions is a huge planning asset for us to try to tax money on the front end of someone's retirement so that they don't pay more taxes on the back end or get hit with things like IRMA, which is an additional premium on your Medicare, or lose some of their money to a nursing home spend down. If they make some of these things law, we may not be able to do some of the upfront planning that we've planned to do. But there are some positives in there as well. It may end up affecting where you don't have to take money out as early as 72 for requirement of distributions. And like legislation in Indiana, we got an extra bump on our 529s. So now starting this next tax year, if you put $7,500 in, you get $1,500 back on your state credit versus $1,000. So there's positives and negatives, just understanding them and staying on top of them is what's critical.
It sounds like a great way to do all those things and get a magic crystal and hold it in your hand to hope everything is heading in that direction.
To see where it's going.
Thank you so much. And if you have any financial questions, call the number on your screen for a complimentary consultation today.